It's time for another edition of Out and About with Jamie Grout, and my podcast today deals with RVTV, which is coming to Newton on September 6th. That would be Friday, and it's going to be a good time, of course, presented by Channel 13. All kinds of activities going on in downtown Newton for RVTV, and Chantelle Lundburg will tell us about that. Plus, her husband, Brett Lundburg, will be talking about the mini pitch project, which he's been heading up at Maytag Park, and they hope to open that in October, and he'll have all the details. But first, a word from our sponsors, Clement Mackey Insurance on First Avenue, Newton. They are your independent insurance agent, which means they're associated with several insurance companies to find the lowest insurance rates. Clement Mackey, where your insurance policy comes with an agent, give them a call at 641-792-5040. Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue, Newton. From Newton High fellow graduate Terry Thorson, quote, Ryan and his team are the best. Quality work and custom service second to none, close quote. Give them a call at 641-841-2134. If you need new tires or an oil change, hey, they'll take good care of you at Ryan's Tire and Auto. Also, Newton Clinic. Yeah, they want to stress the importance of heart health. Heart health is the cornerstone of a vibrant, long life. At Newton Clinic, they're dedicated to helping you maintain a healthy heart through comprehensive screenings, personalized care plans, and practical lifestyle advice. Start your journey with a healthier heart and join them today at Newton Clinic. Also sponsored by Jersey Free, supplying prizes for Out and About with Jamie Grout. They're on Highway 14, just south of Monroe. Malts, shakes, sundaes, banana splits. Pick from their selection of chopped up candies to be blended with Jersey Free's ice cream. Use their drive-up or walk-up window. Pizza Ranch in Newton, also supplying prizes for Out and About with Jamie Grout at I-80 and Highway 14 in Newton. Monday, they have half-price games. Tuesday, Kids Night, and they have a great deal going on. Kids eat free on Tuesday nights with a purchase of an adult buffet. Wednesday, double points, and you're invited to check them out on Facebook. And also, let me get a plug in there for their brunches that they have on Saturday and Sunday mornings. I don't think a lot of people know about it. I mentioned it last week on my podcast, and I'm glad to say that they had some increased business with those brunches, according to the guy who's the manager there. And it is really good. I've been there a few times, and you ought to check it out. They have their buffet going, plus some delicious breakfast items, including eggs and bacon and biscuits and gravy and whatnot. It starts at 9 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday mornings at Pizza Ranch. We're talking today with Chantelle Lundburg, who is on the RVTV committee, and RVTV is coming to Newton on Friday. Tell us about all the activities going on, Chantelle.
Yeah, we have a full afternoon and early evening of activities. We're going to kick off the event at 3:30. We're really hoping everybody comes downtown around that time. At 4 o'clock, we're kind of turning it over to the high school, and they're going to do their pep assembly. So they always do a pep assembly during the day for home games, and they have agreed to do it at RVTV. So that's pretty cool. So from like 4 to 4:30, that's going to be kind of what's happening on the square. Is just our pep assembly for the big game that night. At 4:30, we're going to start some other games and activities. There's going to be, I don't want to spill all the good stuff, but there's going to be a wing eating contest and maybe a beer chugging contest. And these are all things that are sponsored by local businesses, which is really great. There's a couple other ones too that'll be fun. And then at 5:30, we're going to turn the stage over to Damon Dotson, who of course is a Newton favorite, and he's going to play until 7:30. We have a full lineup of free activities that are going on. We have food trucks that are going to be there. We have the Ikes is going to do the beer tent. So we have just a full fun evening. And then, of course, we're hoping that everybody goes to the game from there.
I know you're hoping for a good time, and I understand the RVTV people at Channel 13 wanted to come back to Newton because of the enthusiasm we had here in town the last time they were here.
Actually, this is the first time RVTV's ever been here.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
We were the game of the week last year or the year before, but this is our inaugural RVTV, which is pretty special. Yeah.
Okay, maybe that the game of the week was why they were so enthusiastic.
Yeah.
But this planning has been going on for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, I feel like pretty much right right after Ragbri or right around that time, Aaron Yeager with Newton Main Street and I were chatting, and we're like, RVTV would be pretty cool. We felt very confident in the planning of it, considering we had just pulled off, another really nice Ragbri event. And she put an application together, put our names on it, sent it in, and we got chosen. It was pretty cool.
Wow. So I'm assuming Newton will be on TV then. When will that be broadcast? Do you know, Chantelle?
So I know that they do some lives throughout the event. So basically what they've told us is that we need to plan a tailgate, and they're just like, they're at it. So it's going to be kind of just the town coming together to have a party. They're going to broadcast live, from what I understand, at the 4 o'clock hour, at the 5 o'clock hour, and at the 6 o'clock hour. Now, our RVTV looks a little different than maybe like the Baxter and the Mitchellville that are the days before us, because we actually kind of have an ending time because of the football game. And also the RVTV guys, they need to get over to Iowa City to do some of their stuff for the night before. So it looks just a little bit different than maybe some of the other towns that you see going later into the night, but there's a reason for that.
Sure, yeah. Sure. Sounds like a lot of fun. And again, what time should people be in downtown Newton on Friday?
We would love the downtown to just start getting packed around 3:30. That's when the beverage garden opens. That's when the food vendors will be there, because we want to definitely support those high school students and the cheerleaders and the pace setters and the football players and all of those that are coming out for that 4 o'clock pep assembly.
Yeah, and from what I see, the weather's supposed to be cooperative.
Oh my goodness, we have gotten so lucky. We do have a backup plan, because we said, if we have a rain plan, then it won't rain. So I think we made the right decision there.
That's very smart. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for talking with us today.
Yeah, thank you.
My conversation today is with Brett Lundburg, who has a project going on at Maytag Park. Tell us about it, Brett.
Yeah, so it's called a mini pitch. It is a small hard surface soccer field that is kind of designed to mix the game up between the indoor version and the outdoor version. A lot of times people will play indoor soccer and they'll play off the walls and things like that. You'd be able to do that at this one as well. But then it's obviously it's outdoors. And so you're still kind of out in the elements and things like that. It's a little bit bigger than a basketball court. But basically what my hope for it is to just give kids a place to go play soccer. They can play by themselves. Hopefully others would then be able to see them out there and maybe join in, make it more of a community event. And probably the coolest thing about it, like I said, is that a kid can go and play by themselves. There's walls on it, so they can kick the ball against the wall. They can take shots on the net, but there's walls that will kind of keep the ball contained. A lot of times you see kids taking big shots and it'll fly over the net, and then they're spending time chasing the ball down and things like that. So this is kind of a basketball element where they get, there's somebody rebounding for them to a degree, and it goes back to them as opposed to having to chase it down.
How fun. How is this being funded?
So it's been a lot of fundraising around town. It's been a lot of hard work, a lot of fun conversations with people. We've done some grant writing, but then we've also, when Chantelle and I first started working on this, we started going around to local businesses, started posting things on Facebook, and had a pretty good reception. I do have a list of some of the donors that have really stepped up. One of the main ones so there's I guess I should say that this is a partnership with a local, or with a nonprofit that's local to Iowa.
Okay.
They are called Kick It Forward.
Okay.
Based out of Des Moines. They're a group of guys that basically have just loved soccer. They played soccer either here in high school, here being in Iowa. Some of them went on to play in college. I think one of them was not from Iowa, and he came here and went to Drake Law School, stuck around Iowa, and started this as well. So it's a nonprofit. So all of the donations that we've received they've gone through they have nonprofit write-off eligibility.
Mhm.
And then basically they kick it forward. When we started having these conversations, they had Delta Dental as one of the people or one of the groups that would help fund this. And then we also got help from FNB Bank. Rob Kahn was pretty awesome and helping out financially, but then he also gave me ideas on who to talk with and things like that. So that was cool. Probably one of the coolest ones that it was just cool from what has been going on to what they're trying to do now is the NASCAR Foundation in Iowa Speedway. They had there was a conversation that was going on out there, and I got invited to the conversation and was allowed to present in front of them, and they gave us a large chunk of what we were looking for. So that was a pretty fun one to get.
How long has this process been going on, Brad?
The process itself probably started last winter. But we Chantelle and I, and then Coach Jensen on the high school soccer team, Coach Weeks on the high school team. I'm a coach at the high school, and we've talked about how it would be really cool to get involved and have one of these in Newton. We've talked about it for 3 years.
Does the motivation for this kind of thing come from not only stuff for kids to be able to do, but also to try to train them for future soccer leagues in high school and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, the more kids play, the better they're going to get. But it's not necessarily organized.
Mhm.
The hope is that it's like, you can go to Aurora Heights Park and you can play pickup basketball. You can go to Maytag Park and play pickup basketball. You can go to Agnes Patterson and play pickup soccer, but it's on those bigger fields. So, it's kind of, you have to have a decent sized group of people to go and be able to do that. So, yeah, I mean, the kids are going to play more, and they're going to get better by playing more, but it's not like we're going to have coaches out there helping them to get better. It's really just, hey, if a ball comes off of a wall, how is it going to bounce when it hits my foot or things of that nature?
Yeah.
How's it going to bounce when it hits the ground? So, so it can help, but it's not in an organized fashion.
I might sound like an old fogey, and maybe some people consider that I am, but I can remember, gosh, well, I've been back in Newton for 16 years. This is my hometown, but before that, I was in Waterloo for 10 years. And this had been a long time ago, but John Deere donated a bunch of land that they had. Let's see, this would have been west of Cedar Falls, just for soccer fields.
Mm-hmm.
And the motivation for that whole thing was a guy came to town and he said, "Where are your soccer fields?" And see, when I was a kid, people weren't really playing soccer that much.
Yeah.
How do you explain this explosion over the last several years of soccer? Was it the influence of people from Europe and whatnot?
So it was in big cities. It was big in the late 70s. When Pele came to the United States and was playing in New York, it was, that it got some traction. I would honestly say, in my opinion, that it's really took off after the 1994 World Cup, when maybe even the 1990 World Cup, but the 1994 World Cup for sure. When it was in the United States, you had a bunch of people that came to the United States. You had kids that saw soccer for the first time. Kids, I was 13 when that happened. My parents took me to Chicago. We didn't go to a game by any means, but we got to see what was going on and how passionate soccer fans are.
Did you start playing soccer at that point, Brett?
So I started in first or second grade. So I would have been like late 80s, early 90s. When Newton Area Soccer Association first formed, I think it was darn close to 1990. I started playing. We called it Newton Area Soccer Association, but if I remember right, and you'd have to talk to somebody else about this, but I think we were actually part of Marshalltown before we figured out what Newton Area Soccer Association was going to look like. But I played at the Y before that, and then went to NASA, and then I played all the way through high school. But yeah, like that was where I really started to fall in love with the game, was seeing all these German fans that had taken over a Hard Rock Cafe in Chicago, and it was wild. But anyway, I think that's kind of where you started to see the explosion. And as people like me have gotten older and have started passing on that love to younger kids, it doesn't take much to play the game. It takes a ball. You technically don't need shoes and socks if you're going to play pickup. If you're going to play organized, you need shoes and shin guards and uniform and all that stuff. But I think that's why it's so popular throughout the world, is because it doesn't take much to be able to play the game.
So you're a coach for high school students?
Coach at the high school level, and then I also coach my youngest son at NASA as well. He's a 13-year-old.
I see. Okay. So tell us about the high school team that you're a coach of.
Yeah.
When is the season? How have they done in the past? How do you think they're going to do in the future?
So we are a spring sport at the high school level. So our season runs, we call it like mid-March, spring break time, through the end of the school year. If we do well enough, it can go into the after graduation and whatnot. Since Coach Jensen has been here, I think he started in 2017. They've been to the state tournament twice. I can take credit for being part of one of those teams. We went in 2022 and we were a state semifinalist, which was a pretty fun experience. We've had a good run. Jensen is he's an assistant down at Central, so he's part of a college program, so he knows how to run a good program. And we do our best at the high school level. It's a competitive season with track and with tennis and with golf, and baseball has kind of moved in. Cross country's in the fall.
Oh, okay. So never mind.
Yeah. So luckily we don't have to deal with that. But
okay.
But some of those kids that do run cross country, they do like to play soccer, and they do like to run long distance in track. And so we kind of have to compete, work together, whatever you want to call it, with other sports as well. But the spring season at the high school level is the shortest season. So we get about 6 to 8 weeks, and we get about a week and a half before our first games. And so we have to pack everything in pretty quickly.
What other teams do you play against?
Conference teams. So Little Hawkeye Conference. So the Dallas Center Grimes, Indianola, we'll go Pella Christian. Who am I missing? Can't think of who the other ones are that I'm missing in the conference. There's got to be one more, Oskaloosa.
Okay.
And then, then we throw in some non-conference. We'll go against Marshalltown, Southeast Polk, scrimmaged Carlisle in the past. So, yeah.
When do you anticipate the mini pitch project will be completed and going? I know you're working on it right now.
Yeah. So, the last I heard, the delivery date was supposed to be October 29th to Maytag Park. So, Musco Lighting is who they are the manufacturer of it, and then they will bring it and deliver it here, and then it takes a day or two of setup. It's kind of cool. We have Van Manen Electric is helping us out with the electrical work. The Kick It Forward guys and myself will probably be out there. It's called a snap tile surface. And so it's these sports tiles that snap together. And so that'll go over the concrete pad that has already been poured out there. And so we'll be out there snapping those together and putting it together. And then, it'll be
Wow.
kind of cool. So October 29th is hopefully the date that it gets delivered, as long as we don't have any snafus or anything.
Wow.
But
It's amazing how the community has come together to really support this, Brett.
yeah, it's been pretty cool. There's, like I said, we had along with Delta Dental and FNB NASCAR, of course, us here at Wallace Family Funeral Home have
Sure.
we've worked pretty hard on this, but just to name a few others, the Lamont family, the Doring family, Clement Mackey Insurance, Culver's Eye Care Center, Forbes, Greg Young, Magnum Automotive, the Monsignor McCann, I think it's Fund, Thombert's, Walmart, Van Manen Electric have all been awesome, asking them for anything, and they've kind of jumped on board. The Dodds, the Dodd family, they were really cool in what they did this year. Instead of just donating a set amount, they put out a challenge, and they basically said that, I don't remember, I wish I had the dollar amount off the top of my head, but I think they did, I don't remember if it was $20 or $25 for every goal that the boys or girls soccer team scored throughout the year. So if the boys scored, I think it was $20. And if the boys scored 10 goals in a game, that was $200 towards the mini pitch. Yeah. And then they did the same thing on the girls' side. So if they would have scored 10 goals in a game as well, they would have had $20 or $200 that way as well. So
gee whiz,
a lot of cool people, a lot of cool conversations that have happened, and haven't had very many no's, and the people that did say no, they didn't necessarily give a reason, and it doesn't really matter. We went to them and talked to them because we've seen them do things in the past and tried it out. It just wasn't for them, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So are you still needing funding for this, or are you all taken care of in that department?
That's a great question. So we, at this point, I would say we need funding, but we're kind of waiting on word from one grant that the Kick It Forward guys have put in place. If we get that grant, then we're covered. If we don't, then there's a little bit of funding that would still need to be taken care of. So that's a wishy-washy answer for you.
Okay. All right. Well, let us know if you need more funding.
Yeah.
I'm sure the community will come through for you.
Yeah. Like I said, I've had some good conversations. I have a few people in my hip pocket that if it comes down, put it this way, the construction of it is not going to stop based on where we're at, because everybody feels comfortable that even after the fact, we'll still be able to bring the funding in, and I'm 100% confident in that as well. So no matter what, October 29th is the date. But there might still have to be just a fraction of fundraising.
Okay, we'll see. Before I wrap this up, I just want to thank the Wallace family for being so community involved over the years. I remember Albert and Arthur, and of course Gary and Pat, and now you and Chantelle, being such great community service folks, and Chantelle, of course, being very involved with Ragbri when it came through Newton several years ago. I had her on the radio too. So just a tip of the hat to you guys for all you do for the community.
Yeah, we have a blast with it. It's fulfilling to give back to the community and do things that, it's to put events on or to do a community service project like this just feels good.
So if people want more information on this, is there a Facebook page, a website? Do they just give you a call? What would they be doing there, Brett?
Yeah. So, sorry, I want to make sure I give the right web address. You can go to KIF Soccer. So KIF stands for Kick It Forward, soccer.org. And then you can do the /Newton, and that will kind of show the progress on the Newton page. So real quick story about these things. This is kind of a partnership between Musco Lighting and the U.S. Soccer Federation. They have the U.S. Soccer Federation, U.S. Soccer don't know how you say it. They with the World Cup coming again in 2026, they had an initiative that they wanted to put 1,000 of these mini pitches in the United States. Kick It Forward is instrumental, or has been instrumental, and I think there are 30 to 40 of them. Ottumwa is putting one at every one of their elementary schools, so that's kind of cool. My personal hope is that we can get this put in at Maytag Park, and then hopefully it gets used quite a bit, and that the school system here would see a need or a want to put one at each of the elementary schools.
Wow. Good.
So, yeah.
You have future dreams for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today.
No problem.
Conversation today has been with Brett Lundburg, who's heading up the mini pitch project at Maytag Park. Till next time, out is out. See ya.